Right, so this week's video, I've been very busy this week, doing all sorts of jobs. I'll start with the relatively dull ones and then I'll go on to the more interesting stuff. So basically I've finished off this panel, finally. That's all now fitting nice and snug. Obviously there's going to be leather on here, so it's got to have got a gap for tolerance and things for getting the leather fitted, but obviously going to be leather on there and on there, so it's going to have to meet and be right. So it can't be exactly 100% flush, otherwise it's going to be sitting wrong. So but yeah, it's looking pretty good now. That's not bad at all. A little bit of work to do around this side here, but there was going to be anyway. It needs some work around the speaker hole, so that's going to be part of that job. But it's pretty good though, not bad at all. Looks good. Obviously that comes off, it's screwed in as well, so that's on big screw there, 1, 2, 3 screws there. So obviously then it's removable, so you can get to the pedals. There's obviously going to be shows and events and stuff when I'm there. It's going to be you can adjust the rev through the bonnet, if that makes sense. So I can get to the mechanism there, so I can stick this on at shows and still get it to a decent RPM to get the alternator running properly. I've also done this section. I'm working on this. I've got to get the seat out next. That seat's got to come out again, basically because I'm making this panel, and to get that panel right, I'm building up this section here, around here, and I'm just going to follow on along there. Obviously you can see how it sort of bends in anyway, so it's going to now be the right sort of flow on there basically, and that should look quite nice when that's all done. That's just like an access panel for the cabling in the dash if you're not sure what's going on there. I've been doing this piece, turn around. Okay, so this was just rough fiberglass before, so what I've had to do, the other side was further out than this one was, so basically this is the right angle now, this is all correct. So that's looking all quite nice there, nice and squared off. It's all fiberglassed in, all in there, all along here has been fiberglassed, and I filled it as well, done its first pass of filler. Obviously when the seat comes out I can do all that inside there as well, but you get the idea with that, where that's going. So that should be about the right sort of shape and size as the other side. Finally I'll take you around the front where the most of the work's been done, which is quite a lot to be fair. So let's start with the top. So we've got, get in here, there we go. Right, so the bonnet I'm shaping at the moment, there's quite a lot of work going into this because this was all sort of hanging uneven. This section here, let me try and get this here, right. So this section is quite flat and then just dips slightly for these little bits there. This section here, you can see dips further. That's because the bonnet got damaged. It's basically been made from like a mould. And the mould was kind of not quite right, I think, underneath, because it was never going to be seen underneath on the original mould when it was built first. But now it's going to be seen, so I've got to chop this, well, take this section back, chop this a bit, move it upwards a little bit so it's the right shape as the other side, and then obviously fiberglass it back in. And that's a pretty straightforward job, and I might even get around to that this week, all being well. But you can see how I've been flattening underneath. So this is all started off with some sanding now. Obviously the black marks are where the low spots are, so there's quite a bit of sanding left to do on this. Plus of course I've got to tidy up all these edges, because obviously they're all wrong currently, they're all over the show. Some are smaller than others, as you can see. Obviously that's going to be sorted nice and easy. I've got the scuttle panel finally finished. The gaps are all spot on there. Try and get around here, there we go. Yeah, the gaps are all pretty much spot on now, including the top of the wings. It just needs some flattening back to make sure everything's the right sort of shapes, but that's got a little gap there now, panel gap there, panel gap there. It's all looking a bit flush and tidy, not bad at all, looking quite nice. I've got to take a little bit of filler out of here. The good thing is when you've primed it you can see where all these places are, but if you don't prime it and leave it in just multicolours you can't see what you're doing. So this piece here, you can see it goes up here, does the same here. It's where I filled in the alternator hole basically, so it just needs taking back a bit and grinding back. Plenty of room to do that, so yeah, not a problem at all. I'll crack on with that and get that sorted. I've rebuilt the splitter completely. I've done a lot of work on the front. I did a bit of work on this grill here to try and get this the right sort of shape. It's not fully 100% quite there yet, but it's a lot better than it was. It's really difficult to get underneath that, underneath this lip here, because obviously it's all moulded in. There's nowhere to move it to, so you have to do it while it's on the car. So really I should have done that before I did that, but it's one of them things. I didn't realise how it was going to go, but either way, that's going to look quite good. Plus it's a lot better than it was before anyway. I've done a lot of work on obviously the splitter, as I say. So this has all been completely rebuilt. It's been chopped in 2 places, so it's been completely changed. Obviously this is just black now, just to show you roughly what it's going to look like in black, because it's going to be black with those white teeth there. I've done some work on those teeth as well, because some of these were out of shape. One of them still is slightly. This one, that one's slightly out of shape, but it's that's the sort of thing I'm working on at the moment to get all these lines dead straight. Again, can't really do that fully without getting everything together in sort of one colour roughly. Done some work on flattening the, try to get this one, flattening this piece, because I haven't even primed it yet, this piece here. This needs a little bit of filler work in here. There's a few little fiberglass pop holes turned up, so they're going to be quite nice, but obviously the actual workings of it and the shapes and things are getting pretty good now. There's a slight difference in that end, but there is always going to be anyway, because that section's slightly wrong in that corner. So once that's all put back together properly, which it will be very shortly, that'll be the same, basically. That's the idea. But yeah, the splitter fits fine both sides. That one, which didn't before, and it also fits in place nice and easy, so you can take the splitter off in about, well, 30 seconds literally, rather than before it was all over the show. There was line issues, it wasn't lined up at the bottom here, whereas now it's nice and level. Just need a little bit of extra work on that. It's probably 50% done so far, but not anywhere near done yet. I've done some work on this as well, this section, because that, well, the other side is basically the same as that now, which it wasn't before. I've had to chop back some of this, reshape that into like a more of a curved shape like the other side. That's looking quite good now. So overall, I'll try and do this. Looks quite good, doesn't it? Not bad at all. It's difficult to get at right angles really, but you get the general idea of that. But yeah, there you go. That's this week's video. So sorry it's been a while since I posted last, but it's been a busy week. But yeah, feel free to comment and subscribe if you can, and I'll do another video as and when things are happening again in the next week.